here on KUHS Radio Denver, the stream. And yes, it's me, Dr. Lisa. You know me from my show every other Thursday. And this is a fun show that we've started once a month, just because you liked it and because it's so fun to do. It is the Crystal Ball Hour, and yes, we're going to be doing live psychic readings. I'm going to try to manage all of my technology so that this actually works. If you'd like a live reading today, you just need to go to the Facebook site, and you can get there through KUHS Radio, you can get there through the Dr. Lisa Show, but really try the Facebook for KUHS, and post your questions. Remember that the kinds of questions that are good are kind of general, and I don't do health, and I don't do the stock market. I can't give you information on those. But I work in here today with the technology, and it seems to be good. I am so excited to be here. I know that I say this every single show, but the high point of my week is this radio show. I love being part of a station, KUHS, that loves the listeners, and we are absolutely here for you. We know it's a rough time. We know everybody's going through hard stuff. And what we're hoping to do is move your needle from fear to joy, fear to hope, some fun in there, some great music, absolutely, but some really fun shows. So, let me do a little bit more about me. And if you listened last week, you probably heard a bit about why I am doing a crystal ball show. But if it's your first time joining me, I want to make sure that you understand why I'm here. So let me start by asking you to sort of sink into this hour with me. That doing psychic readings are really fun for me. I have to say it's a very sensuous experience for me, that it's a full body experience and a sort of an emotional experience, and that is a great place for you to be right now, to sink into your own sensual physical self. Why? Because Venus is retrograde, and I'm going to talk about that too. And in fact, if I don't, I already have somebody asking a question. That's great. I will get to you very quickly. If I don't fill the hour with readings, then I'm going to talk to you about Venus retrograde. So let me tell you about my journey a little bit. I do want to tell you how I learned to read crystal balls. And I do have my crystal balls here, and I'll show them to you as we go. It seems like the standard for psychics is tarot cards, and I am actually the only one I know who reads a crystal ball, which people don't do it. It just, I don't know anyone. Except that it came down through my lineage. It is something that I learned at a Jewish festival at a table with wine and candles, and it came down through the women of my lineage. It did skip a generation here and there, but it is something of my lineage. And there was a story, an old story, of the mothers and the grandmothers at the Shabbat, at the Sabbath table, who would hold a glass of red wine and look through that glass to the candlelight on the other side and tell people of the week to come. Tell them, give them messages. And that is how I learned to read a crystal ball. A glass of wine, a goblet, has to be glass, you have to see through it. Red wine, looking through that to the candle. And letting my mind open, letting my spirit open, and receiving the messages. Because like I said, for me, it's a very sensual experience. Some people get messages auditorily, they hear them. Some people will see visions. We all get messages in different ways, and some of us get them in many ways. So the last show that I did, which was a few weeks ago, on the using the crystal ball, I kind of called it my coming out party. That as an academic dean, one does not necessarily advertise that one can channel spirit guides and occasionally relatives who have passed and have a sense of the future. And in fact, when I had done that at one job in one of my prior careers, it went very badly, let me just say that. And so I kind of put that aside for quite a while. And now that I am not in that world, not in the world of higher ed academia, I get to be accountable to myself. I let to get my soul shine. I get to walk in my power without fear or apology in this world. And I have to say that's part of what I hope this show helps you do. In fact, all of my shows, I hope they help you do that. If you're curious about how to use that technique of a wine glass and candle, I invite you to get my book. Yes, this is advertising, absolutely. But the book is The Way of the Well. And one of the ways, it's a spiritual adventure romance, kind of like the Celestine Prophecy. If you like that book, I think you'll love this one. And in the story, the heroine, Rachel, actually communicates with someone she's met via crystal ball. They have conversations. And she might actually get engaged via crystal ball proposal, right? Glass of wine proposal. Very good read. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes & Noble. Actually, anywhere you buy books, you can find it online. So, okay. So, what are we going to do today? Let me tell you, I did bring some crystal balls in, and I actually have 4 crystal balls, and they're all with me today. If you're watching live, I'm going to show them to you. If you're listening, I'm hoping you can get to the Facebook site and post a question for me. So I have a clear crystal ball that was my first crystal ball, and it is crystal as in glass, and it has a flat bottom because they're easier to hang on to that way. And it was my first. And again, I moved from glass of wine to crystal ball. And then I saw this one, pure black glass. And again, it's glass, and they're very heavy. They're like a leaded crystal. And this is one of my favorites, but don't tell the other crystal balls. I don't want them to get jealous. Just kidding. And then there are crystal balls where they're cut out of minerals. It's much more difficult to do this. This one is purple, it's out of amethyst, because minerals break, and they have cleavage, and they break along certain lines, and it's much harder to to carve them. And I have just my little traveling crystal ball, which is a blue agate. So that's me. That's how I got here. And what I'm going to do today is do some readings. If you have questions, Raven actually has a radio show on another station and does some amazing work, and so it's so lovely to see friends in my Facebook site. But let me give you a sample of what this is by doing a reading for someone, and then hopefully you can pile in and ask questions. So, Sylvia, you have a question. How are you doing with your spiritual journey? And so how do I read, right? I have found that I bring all of these crystal balls with me because I'm called to one. And Sylvia, right now I'm called to my pure black crystal ball. And the way I read, as I said, is energy comes into me and through me, and sometimes from behind me and around me, and then I have to interpret that energy. So Sylvia, I have to tell you a couple things are happening. Over my left shoulder and behind me a bit, so back behind me towards my left is a guardian of yours who I do think walked on this planet. I do not think it was just a spirit guide. I think this is somebody who you may have known or may have passed right before you were born. They are standing in the shadows. They're not in front of me where I can see them, and they're telling me that this time period right now, I have a feeling it has to do with the Venus retrograde, because that is pushing us inward on a spiritual journey, is about you getting deeper in touch with the part of you that is hidden from you. So it'd be interesting to look at your 12th house in your astrological chart, because that is the part of us that we don't have conscious access to. And this guide is saying to me that you're doing fine on your journey. Be prepared to find out things about yourself that perhaps you have hidden from yourself, that there are clues around you. This guide is saying, please do not be afraid and do not resist. And and follow the information and where the guides will show up for me. And that happens when you ask a question. Just all that is an invitation then to me to do a reading for you. So Raven, I see your name in the Facebook site, and if you would like a reading, then please post something. Okay, if you're out there and you're listening to the sound of my voice, I am very much trying to stay up on my technology. There we go. Raven, there you are. I have a question about your cat, Gabriel. A history of bladder stones. Kitty's annoying. He's refusing to eat. Okay, so doing health is tricky, right? Even health for kitties. But let me see what I can get for you. I'm picking up the actual crystal ball, my purple one. Again, for some reason, I just go where I'm drawn. Oh, your cat's responding to your mood, sweetie. I think instead of looking at what's up for him, you need to look at what's up for you. It does feel like he'd like to go to the vet, but I feel like the vet is also about attention, and that the repeating patterns might have to do with some of your own fears right now. And, our animals do that. I think sometimes they just respond so strongly to how we feel and what's going on in our household. So I think he needs a little more attention, and it could, I don't want to do the medical piece for you. I would say that a trip to the vet is not a bad idea. I'd also like to say that the repeating problem, I think, is that he's very, very attached to you, and that he's picking up some of your nervous energy right now, maybe things you're holding onto, right? I mean, think about that whole thing of anything to do with sort of our intestinal tracts or our bladders, where we're trying to let go of and we end up holding on to. Let me know if that makes sense. Oh, Sylvia, the feed stopped. I'm so sorry. I don't know that I can repeat it. So I did talk to you, though, about a spirit that I had in back of me to the left who was giving you messages. I don't know if the spirit doesn't want to come back, but I would ask you to, I do believe it is somebody from your lineage, a spirit guide who came through, who is also someone who'd been on the planet before. So I'm hoping perhaps you can even grab that and back that up and listen to that a little later, because it's going to be hard to repeat the whole thing. So sorry. I know, the internet has been amazing, hasn't it? The feeds stop. I've been having that problem. I do believe it's, again, my last Dr. Lisa show, I talked about 4 planets in retrograde. And one of them is Venus. And I have to say that Venus, the other planets are big planets, and they have long-term effects on us, and they have international global effects. Venus feels really personal, and I think that it often blocks what we're craving. And so the internet can be one, because we're also reliant on it right now for communication, right? I mean, like, here I am, right, on the radio at KUHS Denver, the stream, and I'm relying on the internet working for you and for me. Hey, I also want to let you know that if you're enjoying the sound of my voice, if you would like me to help you through this time, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, we can do that. You can reach out to me through the station or through Facebook site, The Dr. Lisa Show, or you can go to my website, elisarobin.com. Robin is spelled with a Y, and you can message me through there. And I do private sessions. They're roughly an hour, but I make sure you really get what you need. And through this time of this isolation and this fear and this virus, I've been doing half-price sessions. So right now I'm at $75 for an hour, and you get your chart, maybe some Kabbalah, definitely if spirits show up. I do the channeling, I do the whole package. And yes, I do have a PhD in psychology, so yes, you also get that. So I'm sort of mixing the spiritual and the kind of woo-woo with the very, very well-grounded academic part of me. So Sylvia, I hope you can get back to it. Raven, I'm glad that made sense to you. Anyone else out there? Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to, okay, let me get back to the right spot as I try to make sure I'm doing my technology right. And let me talk to you a bit more about this Venus thing, right? Like, what is going on? We have a pandemic. We have an economic issue. The murder hornets showed up. We've had earthquake. What is going on? The earth is stretching. The earth is changing. The planet herself is talking to us. And then in the middle of it, we get 4 planets that go retrograde. Oh my gosh. I want you to know that chaos happens when we resist truth, when we resist change. And that change is inevitable. Growth is optional. And chaos comes often when we refuse to grow. I'm not going to tell you what the truth is. That's up for you to decide. And your truth might be different than my truth. But I do know that sometimes that's where chaos comes from. And what Venus shows up right now, retrograde, to do is to talk to us about what we truly value. You know, we think about Venus as this goddess of love, this sort of light figure that hangs out with little Cupid dudes with arrows and bows, right? This is a profoundly powerful feminine energy in the world, and I gotta tell you, feminine energy scares people. Really scares people. My husband, before he passed, was part Chiricahua and Native, and his teachers would say to him that of course women were scary. They bleed and they do not die. They create life. I mean, this is like amazing, right? This is something that is so difficult to understand and such a miracle. And that power, that feminine power, part of that is held within Venus. And Venus is going retrograde. And we've talked retrogrades, right? They go back. And let me tell you that now I'm chatting and hoping one of you jumps into the Facebook site and asks for a reading, because my crystal balls are here waiting to talk to you, right? They are. And I can tell you that I can have a sense, because I have spirit guides standing behind me, that some of you are craving a reading and wondering if you have the courage to do it. So jump into the Facebook site, post a question. You can probably message me, I think, right? I'm going to try to get as much technology as I can for this, but within the Facebook site is the best way to do it. I am trying very much to keep the technology sort of up to date here. And let's see if there's a question. Okay. So, Polly, you're having trouble with your sound. Make sure you go to the Dr. Elisa show and do the live show, or make sure you go to KUHS. And I'm not sure how to post that for you right this moment. So I'm on KUHS, the stream. Okay, Venus. What is Venus doing to us? Venus is this goddess of love. Who wants us to look deeper, not just at love. It is also to money. It is also to art. It is also to sort of what our heart craves. There's a saying, no money, no love, and that when Venus goes retrograde, you'll also see the stock market go down, which it did in the start of the retrograde. But what Venus is asking us to do in this time, when so many of us are trying to practice some kind of isolation or social distancing or quarantining or some variety of that, is what do you value? And how and why do you value it? So I do believe there are so many people right now who are discovering that what they value is love. What they value is human connection. And Venus is saying to us, love does conquer. love comes through. Does that mean you should go out and hug everybody in a park? No, clearly not. But it does mean you should look deep into what you truly crave and desire. I have to tell you that one of the things that Venus does is Venus will manifest our cravings for us. Venus will manifest what we have asked for, and we ask for it by desiring it. And then, like anybody on a good quest, we say, no, never mind, and run away. We called something to us, and then we're often frightened. Venus is the sister, in some ways, of Mars, the god of war. And so Venus is the one that calms us down when we start on our quest. Yes, of course you're afraid. Of course. Raven, great question. So Venus is interesting. Venus actually we're not used to it. Venus goes retrograde every 18 to 19 months for roughly 42 days. So it's going to take us into, I think, July. I don't have the exact date, but went retrograde on Thursday, 42 days from there, right? And that's what you will find it then. And I'm just checking the site here to see if anybody else has posted questions. So it may sound like, love, right? Love, that's it, that's what this is about. But remember, it isn't about earning money. It's about understanding what you care about and how you attract to you money, which in our culture is about value. Think about that. Think about all the words we use for money. We call it, you can put money in a trust. Well, what's trust? Trust is about relationships. You can invest. What else do we invest in? People and relationships. We call it dough, like bread, like things we make. Money it often is attached to freedom, to security, and yes, to love. And Venus then says to us, for me it's attached probably to all three, just saying, because of my chart. So what is it that Venus then is asking us to do? And what I thought would be fun, unless somebody else would like a reading, and you can go into the Facebook site, would be to talk about each Venus retrograde by each astrological chart. So you're going to get a mini reading based on your sign. And I'm still watching to see if anybody would like a reading with a live reading on the show. Okay. So here's some interesting things about doing an astrological reading like this. And I say this all the time. You all know your sun sign. And your sun sign is that thing you think you are. If you think you're an Aries or you think you're a Scorpio, that is your sun sign. Yes, Venus affects that. But Venus is in Gemini. That's where it's retrograde. So it would really be much more powerful, and I can help you with this. Again, you can contact me and I can help you. We can do a reading on where is Gemini in your chart. You can go onto a free site, put your birth information in, make sure you have your time of birth, and that will generate a chart. And the house that Gemini sits in is where Venus is retrograde. And that house tells you where you're playing it out, okay? It also talks about relationships to other planets. So when I talk about Venus and your sun sign, it's one little tidbit of astrology, but it's definitely not all of it. Raven, you have Venus in Capricorn in your 10th house. Ooh, very cool. Okay, so we get to Capricorn. Capricorn might be more important to you than your sun sign. Gemini moon. Okay, if you have a Gemini moon, then a Gemini moon is definitely going to be affected by this retrograde, so keep that in mind. If you're in Aries and you're out there, you're the ram, this is a time when you might feel your vitality dwindling. Now understand, I'm talking about your sun sign, but I'm really much more interested in where Gemini is in your chart. But if you're in Aries or even Aries rising, you might feel your energy kind of dwindling. You might feel a little frustrated, and honestly right now, who doesn't feel a little frustrated? But I think what you're going to find is that there are new networks out there for you, and the frustration is actually good because it's pulling you into different directions. There are going to be new opportunities for you. There's probably going to be ways for you to make money in very, very different ways when you come through this retrograde. So and we don't have to wait for Venus to go direct. Venus pushes us inward, and as we do the work, often the situations arise. The challenge is to say yes. That's the challenge. I talk about this time as perhaps the crossroads of wisdom and desire, and you don't have to choose one. You blend them and walk those paths together. Taurus, okay. Taurus, this is an interesting time. Why? Because Venus is your planet. So if you're single or if you're in a relationship, it won't necessarily take a hit. That might be fine. But this is a time for you to focus on yourself. And you might want a bit of liberation, right? Again, money can also be freedom. Love can also be a way of setting ourselves free, right? That love can be security, but love also can be a way where we find our true selves and we set ourselves free by embracing a different kind of relationship. And I have to say, Taurus, this is your time. This is your time to embrace your authentic self, to show up as your true self, which includes attracting people to you who really understand and accept you and honor you and respect you. If you're a Taurus, I'd love you to go to the Facebook site and let me know if that is making sense, because Venus has been retrograde just a few days, but long enough for you to start to feel the effect. So again, KUHS Radio Denver, the stream, and you can find us on Facebook, and you can post in this site, and you can talk with me by just chatting with me directly right there. I'm going to renew this site and see if there's anything new. Okay. Really, it'll be fun, right? No telling who will show up. And I can tell you that whoever it is who's thinking about posting, your guide is here. I can feel your guide right behind me. And if you post your question, boom, we're gonna have a reading for you. Okay, Gemini. Well, come on, Venus is retrograde in Gemini. So Raven has a Gemini moon, right? Third house, communication. Gemini is all about communication. If you know your chart, where is Gemini? That's where this plays out for you. So for Raven, it's going to be sort of emotional communication, moving her inward to find that other way of talking to people, of talking to herself, of honoring who she is in her communication. Raven, I wonder if your radio show is going to shine brightly through this. I hope it does. If you're looking at Venus, if you're a Gemini, then this is also about a season of looking at your own emotional and mental health. Where have you been rattled by everything that's going on? And I get it, everybody's been rattled. But Gemini, where do you need to go inward and show yourself some compassion? Where are you hoping that the relationships pull you through instead of knowing that it's you, that you're the center, you're the force? Now, I have to tell you, Gemini, you might meet your soulmate during this retrograde, because just because it's a retrograde doesn't mean relationships fall apart. It means we come to truth, which often is, Gemini isn't seeking truth necessarily, they're seeking information. But information can lead to truth. Sylvia, you have a Venus in Sagittarius just like I do. Okay, so when we get to Sag in a minute, think about that. But think about, because it affects our Venus, right? Think about where that is. And if you know that, Sylvia, look at your chart and see where Gemini is. Come on, you know you're out there listening to my voice, and you know you'd love to play. Put your comments in the Facebook site. Go to KUHS Radio, the stream, and chat with me. I know, you're wondering who this is. Why isn't Elisa doing the Dr. Elisa show? It's because she's doing the Crystal Ball Hour and giving you a sample of how fun it would be to have a private session with me. Again, you know how to find me. through KUHS, through my website, alisarobin.com, through Facebook. I'm even on LinkedIn. You can even find me there. Cancer, all you Cancers out there, okay? Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, Cancer Rising. This is definitely an uncomfortable time that is asking you to look at who you are in your relationships. Where have you hung on to your past? Now, let me tell you, wherever you have Cancer, this might be true. I have a South Node in Cancer in an 8th house, and that's about deep spiritual relationships and or your business partnerships, or that things aren't resonating exactly like they should be for you. I do feel like love is going to come into your life. Now, when I say a new love relationship, you know, that could be an amazing fur baby. It could be a cat or a dog, or it could be a best friend. It could be a business situation that you love. You love what you do. Like I love what I'm doing right now, being on the radio with you. It could be that. It is something that asks you to stop your own self-sabotaging tendencies. And yeah, we all have them. But Cancer, this is the season for you to look at them. This Venus retrograde is a season for you to take a look at that. I also want you to, and this is funny because, you know, all the jokes on Facebook are about if you're telecommuting, maybe you're getting dressed from the waist up. The people are living in sweats, and women are living in leggings. You know, my lovely clothes, my professional clothes in my closet look at me like, you know, is it something I said? You don't wear me anymore. What's going on? So people are sort of struggling with caring necessarily about how they look, especially with salons closed and you can't get a facial and on and on. But Cancer, this is a really great time for you to focus on your appearance. And I don't mean go on a diet. I don't mean that. I mean, do you love the way you look? Do you walk as who you are? I have a friend who does a process called the inner image, and if you're interested in that, let me know on the Facebook site. But she helps people find that who they are inside and how to walk like that in the world, to act like that, stand like that, dress like that. And this Cancer is a really good time for you to think about that. That I also want to say, not only how you look, but also what's your house look like? Are you just sick of it? You know, you can safely go to a store and buy a can of paint and change how your house looks. Just a suggestion. Okay, how are we doing in the site? Oh, come on. I know you want to play, really. I know you want to ask me a question. If you're having trouble getting to the site, then try going to KUHS, the main website, or going to you gotta go here, KUHS, and either the Facebook site or the website, and see if you can get the live stream there, and you should be able to make your way to the Facebook site and post a question. Okay, and let me say, if you are working right now but you really wanted a reading, if you get into that site later today, I will go back and check and take a look at it. Where are we? We are Leo. If you're a Leo, now you know, I have to say, if you're a Leo, you know it, and you love it, and you sort of love to toss your hair around, toss that mane of yours, even if it's short, you still love to do it. And I would love to hear from you if this is resonating. You're being taken back in time a bit, Leo, with this retrograde, and remembering when you shined, when you felt glorious, when you were that regal lion, Leo. When you felt more connected, more sort of presentable would be one way to talk about it. This is a time to step back and take a look at how far you've come. That the season of Taurus has been a little hard on you. The season of Taurus is hard on Leos and on Aquariuses and sometimes Scorpios. But the Venus retrograde is calling to you and saying, look what you've done. Look how much you've done in your life. Look how amazing you are. I think you're going to find you're connecting with different soul groups, different people, different business groups, people that perhaps in the past you would not have considered connecting with. Maybe you didn't feel good enough, or maybe they were just a little too esoteric, like this double Aquarius sitting here, right? But I think you're going to find that you're attracted in new ways to different people, talking about different things that are now just opening up for you. If you're in a partnership, I want to ask you to not demand too much, to perhaps troubleshoot the situation. That sometimes for Leos, and this is so true, and you know this, you want the world to be about you. That everybody's in a retrograde right now. Everybody is experiencing all these retrogrades. I had a client the other day say to me, why is the retrograde just happening to me? Why are these people picking on me? And I had to say that the retrograde's happening to them. And they're expressing it by verbalizing things outwardly. And you're getting some of it. You're having a retrograde and you're experiencing it by hearing the voices and trying to decide what to do about it. So remember, everyone you talk to is having this experience. And sometimes that gets us kind of crosswise. Venus in Gemini. Gemini's about communication. There'll be shades of Mercury retrograde in our relationships, because it's in Gemini. And Mercury rules Gemini. And I may have said that backwards, but Gemini and Mercury are connected. When Mercury goes retrograde, it is that element of communication that goes backwards. So when Venus goes retrograde in Gemini, we get a little flavor of that. So don't be surprised if the communications are just off. And I'd love to hear if that's true for you. Okay, Virgos. See how we're doing here. Do I have some Virgos out there who'd like to talk to me? This retrograde is not going to really slow you down, Virgo. It is you. You're going to be steady. Now, if you've been on a really fast roll, it may slow you a little, but it's not going to stop you. And for you, this is more about business. This is more about business opportunities, financial opportunities coming up for you. This is about you really being prepared to take the next step in business by being healthy, by being emotionally, physically, spiritually, psychically, whatever, healthy and strong. Because when Venus goes direct, you're going to find that you have attracted to you so much of what you crave and you care about. So that, some of that is what's happening also. I have to say that you could be looking at publishing some of your writing. You might be looking at travel, which is odd right now, right? Because hardly anyone's traveling, but you might be looking at that. It could be that you're a bit unavailable for others because you're so focused on yourself and your business, which is perfectly fine. It's a perfectly fine thing to do. I also think that you're going to have a chance to look at where past relationships have been and how you want to do that differently. Any Virgos want to chat? Okay. You know what? I've just decided that you were so seduced by the sound of my voice that you can't tear yourself away to post on the Facebook site. And if you listened to my show last week, you know I operate on the law of seduction, not the law of attraction, the law of seduction. So it might be working. Libras, this might just be a lot of cancellations for you. Clients may cancel. Obviously, travel is going to cancel. You might find that, everything's been interrupted. And, that's not a hard guess, right? Everything has been interrupted. But I want you to really take care of focusing on your resume or your professional profile or anything that will show who you are down the road. I think that anything that distracts you from your own creative process right now is just that. It's a distraction. Love life for you, I do think, is stable. And you're doing okay. But remember that underneath that stability of who you are is a very sensual, sexual individual. And you may never have heard those words. Libra apply to you. But find a way to take care of your senses and your own personal sensuality. Okay, I'm just checking the Facebook site to see if anyone else wants to come out and play. Okay, I know a couple of people are saying hi, but not posting a question. Okay, Scorpios. We only have 15 minutes to get through just a few of you. Scorpio, you're being asked to take control and look at places where codependency was part of your life. You know, you might be a little trigger happy with your anger. Scorpios are passionate, and yes, they're known for sex, and many of us love that about you, Scorpio. But just watch your anger. Watch where you're really a little bit scared that you're going to fall back into something codependent. Just be aware that we know you want to be in control, Scorpios, and often we're sort of willing to let you do that. But watch that sort of hair trigger that you also sometimes have. I think you might be reconsidering commitments you've made. You may have just met a soulmate. You may be in transition from an old job to a new job. You're probably doing really well at work right now if you're working online, and you might be actually transitioning up and having an opportunity for a promotion. It's kind of like leveling up, you know, from relationship, like meeting somebody, to a real relationship, to a relationship, to an engagement, to a job, to a higher level job. And those can be anxiety inducing. And so show up for yourself right now, because I think that that anxiety is leading you to be a little trigger happy with that temper that we also know you have. My dad was Scorpio, and I just have to say I love Scorpio men. Absolutely adore you. You gotta watch that temper. Sometimes it does get the better of you. Sagittarius, and so Sylvia, that Sagittarius Venus, think about this. This Sagittarius is, think about spicing up your love life, because you might be attracting someone to you, and also spicing up your space, because, you know, we're inside and you've been really, really busy with work and finances, and now it's time to move into your space. Sagittarians do not like to be trapped at home, and so some of you who find that you are unable to run away in your gypsy caravan, though I gotta say, if you're Sagittarius with a camper, I have a feeling you're on the road somewhere. This is a time for you to get clear and to clear the air about your partner's financial problems, about your own issues around financing, around why your own loneliness, your own craving for fun, because Sagittarius are just so fun. We love them for that. And I think what you might find is that home improvement, doing something that makes you feel more comfortable in your space. This might be a great time for that. Capricorn, and again, Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Moon, maybe Venus in Capricorn. Practice what you preach, Capricorn. The energy is shifting, and this again is about physical and mental health for you. Where are you holding on to? Old relationships and old issues and just old stuff. Oh my gosh, my favorite Capricorns always have a pack rat piece in their life, right? That they just like to save things. Good time to clean out, because Venus is retrograde. What have you saved that you're not even sure what you have? And in fact, I bet you don't even know what you have in some of those places. So focus on bringing yourself back to center. Focus on your appearance, on what's best for you. And I really do mean what's best for you. Capricorn, you do have a tendency to deal with depression, and you do have a tendency to distract yourself. This is a good time to get clear. What are your finances like? What do you want for your future? What is the future you're going to build? Because I got to say, it's coming. It's coming. And this is a time when you actually get to plan it and to become the person you want to be. Okay, we got 2 more left. Oh, come on. I so want you to come out and play in the Facebook site. I even got dressed up for the occasion. Aquariuses. Okay, I'm talking to myself. Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Moon, Mercury in Aquarius, all in my third house. Though the rest of my chart I'm not going to reveal right now. It is a time, and I have to say this is true, of personal revelation. What is it I want in my career? I mean, how interesting that I started this kind of a show right before the retrograde and joyfully here talking psychic astrology, so wanting to do more live readings for you on the air. This is bringing to attention for all of us Aquarians, our family, yes, our finances, but also what have we been doing? Where have we been investing our time? And how has that been a way to just sort of entertain ourselves? This again is about reclaiming that independence, but not leaving relationships behind, but understanding that we are strong and that we know who we are when we're alone. And yet, yes, we want to share that. We want to be involved with other people. It's not that every Aquarian is an introvert, by no means. It's just that we understand who we are when we're alone. This is a time to realize, Aquarians, and of course I'm talking to myself, there are so many ways to make money. So many ways. So pick the one that brings you joy. It's never too late to change your career. I'm on my third or fourth, right? So it's never too late to embrace what you love and to let go of the distractions. The Aquarian dilemma is we can do anything. So what is it we want to do? And we know that when we're alone. And this Venus retrograde is pushing us inward to our alone spot inside of us to discover that. Raven, I'm glad it was spot on with Capricorn. Thank you for sharing that. And then we got Pisces, okay? Pisces is our most psychic side, most empathic, let's say. And all of you Pisces get things and you know things and you're always shocked when other people don't. The Pisces dilemma is that we can't convince you to ask for what you need and want because you're assuming we know. Because you know, because you're an empath. So this time, you may feel that as we go into this retrograde, that suddenly things are rushing at you faster than you're used to. Pisces like things to go slow. They want to feel it, they want to process it, they want to sit with it. All of that's lovely. But this retrograde is not doing that to you. It is moving you quickly. It could be a job transition, it could be career, it could be relationship, new beginning. It could be where you're feeling less secure about your money, even though you've made good choices. I would say that Pisces, since you sometimes live in the ethereal world, this is a good time to check the sort of mundane things. Balance your checkbook. Check those charges on your credit card. Look at your financial obligations. And yes, look at the ways that sometimes you sabotage yourself. Do you have apps you're paying for that you didn't even realize? Have you bought some things where the delivery shows up every month and you just wanted to try it? This is a great time to go in and clean those things up. Clean those things up in the world around you, in your life. Because this is a time that Venus is saying move in. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions in this Facebook site. And so if I'm somehow missing you, I'm so sorry. I have just a few more minutes and I want to talk to you a little bit about the entire show. I'm missing somebody in here. I just found out I'm missing somebody who wants a reading. And I don't see one. I don't see another one. So, if I miss you and I can't find you, I promise do the reading when I get off.
Rosalie
See.
Marcus,
I am.
you're on my site.
So if you're listening to my voice, I am just updating, just sort of refreshing. And I'm sorry if you're out there asking a question, I don't see you.
You can see Rosalie Marcus asking you a question.
I don't. Let me go to a different site and see if I can find it somewhere else. I'm sorry, I can't see. And if you have asked me a question and I have not answered it, I promise to answer when I get off the air, because I am so sorry. I'm being told that I'm missing something, which would not be unusual, right? Venus is retrograde. Okay, so where are we? I'm 5 minutes out, which means I'm actually supposed to end right now. So if you are on the Facebook site and I missed you, I promise to get to you. I will figure that out and I will send you a reading, okay? I will make sure that I pull up my crystal ball and figure out what is going on for you. For everyone else who's listening, I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to just update you. Who are you listening to? Me, Dr. Lisa. I have my regular show, the second and fourth Thursday of every month at 11 here on KUHS, the stream. You should listen to that show. It's really marvelous. You can listen to this show and have live readings the third Monday of every month. If you follow the Dr. Lisa show, I'll post it. If you follow me on Facebook, I'll post it. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I'll post it, so I will remind you when the show is, and you can connect with me. If you're just hypnotized by the sound of my voice and you'd like to work with me, you absolutely can. You can connect with me on my website, elisarobin.com, or you can find me through KUHS. And I have $75 1-hour sessions right now as we go through this time, because
Can I see that question?
Dr. Rosalie.
Dan Uliberry, the doc, he's passed away. He used to work here. She asked me to be okay.
She asked, if he's okay?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's who's been standing behind me. So this is from Rosalie asking if someone who's passed away the doctor is okay. Oh my God, I think that's who was standing behind me, because now that energy is back. Rosalie, I'm so sorry I didn't see your question. I have no idea why. But I have to tell you that I think that because that energy just stepped forward and wrapped its arms around me, which feels delightful, I have to say. But yes, there is a presence around me, wrapping his arms around me. It's definitely a male presence. And it was standing there forever. I kept saying that, right? Just standing there forever, wanting to be acknowledged. So, Rosalie, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't see your question in the post site, but yes, Rosalie, he is fine, and he is here, and he's standing here, and he's whispering to you. I think he's just blowing a kiss your way. I'm not really sure, but he's sort of like exhaling towards you, like sending you energy, sending you a thank you. Is what I'm getting. Okay, I have run over. Rosalie, thank you for your patience. I so appreciate it. And thank you everyone for tuning in to the Crystal Ball Hour. I will be back next month, and you should be too, and you should be ready to post your questions. And I will also be here next week on the Dr. Lisa Show, and we're going to do more astrology. I'm going to have one of my favorite astrologers on as a guest. So thank you for joining me. Please stay tuned for some great music here on KUHS, The Stream.